I was lucky enough to get into the Killing Floor 3 closed beta, and wanted to give my thoughts on it. The game comes out in roughly a month, so I'm sure most of the game is already locked in place, but I digress. To get us all up to date, Killing Floor is a wave-based shooter. Each wave you kill Zeds until a final boss wave. In between each wave, you can spend money you've acquired to get better gear. In Killing Floor 1 and 2, there's a total of 10 waves, but they've changed that for 6 waves in Killing Floor 3. I actually like this change. Matches go faster and are more intense. The enemies in difficulty ramp up faster for a more stressful but exciting match. The other change to the wave-based system is mutation rounds. There's at least one each match, but I've had up to 2 appear. It could be something as simple as bloats are more likely to spawn in, or something super awful like Gorefast and Scrakes are the only thing that spawns the whole round. They usually have some additional bonuses too, like fire rounds do more damage. I should also probably mention that I played on normal difficulty for the first time on each of the 3 maps, but afterwards I played exclusively on hard. There's 3 difficulties: normal, hard, and hell on earth. The game boots up in the hub, a giant room with really only 2 or so points worth looking at, a shooting range to test out guns and other gear, and the terminal. At the terminal you choose the map/difficulty, you can customize your guns and loadout, and you can upgrade the skill tree for your specialist. Specialists are this game's version of each class. You have the Commando, the Firebug, the Engineer, the Sniper, and the Medic. Each specialist is their own character and you can't mix and match. The only thing you can actually mix and match is their primary weapons. The secondary and grenades are all unique to each subclass. I played as the Engineer since I only like shotguns in Killing Floor, and he starts with them. Again, I could use primaries from other specialists like the Firebug's Fire Shotgun, but that's the only interlap. Speaking of weapons, Tripwire has added attachments to this game. During matches as you kill Zeds, some will drop components used in crafting attachments. You can also destroy certain parts of the environment to get materials as well. After each match ends, you get schematics which allow you to craft the related attachment. The drops seem to focus on the weapons you use, and then for weapons that the other classes use. I genuinely can't figure out why they added attachments in this way. By the 4 to 5 hour mark, I had the attachment I wanted, and enough crafting components that I could make anything else, making this whole thing kinda useless. I can't imagine the overflow some people will get by the 15th hour. I also don't really care for the look of most guns. The previous 2 games had an element of realism to them, but the vibe of this game is robotic future. All the guns that at least have normal looking gun elements feel a bit more like metal contraptions. The same goes for the enemies. In previous games, the Zeds felt like humans that were augmented to be bigger, stronger, and badder. In this game, the Zeds feel like robots with flesh masks. Take the Siren for an example. She's a giraffe. Why did they make her neck so long? Here's the Scrake. What happened to my big boy in an apron? The only one that doesn't look like a half-melted Terminator is the one that looks like an uncircumcised penis. The Foreskin Man! The only other Zeds I want to talk about are the bosses. There's 3 new original bosses, and I like them. There's the Chimera, a gross dude with a hard outer shell, the Impaler, multiple rhino-like flesh pounds, and the Queen Crawler, a huge crawler that can spawn in a bunch of little crawlers. The Chimera was honestly the easiest. He mostly just attacks the ground until phase 2 where he also shoots projectiles at you. The Impaler is pretty crazy. I first fought them on normal, where there were only 2, but then I fought it on hard, where there were 3 of them. The Queen is easily the hardest one, and that's just due to her second phase. She has an attack where she pops out of the ground and lunges at you, which will nearly one-shot you. While I like these bosses, this lunge attack brings me to my main problem with the game. Enemies really stick to you. I'm not sure if they're just faster than you or something else, but whenever me or another player were running away, they'd be taking attacks in their back. While it does encourage being with other people, that falls apart when it's 1 or 2 people left trying to run a train and save the run. There's a chance there's some hidden tech to learn, but I wanted to bring this up anyway. Movements changed a little bit this time. When pressing the run button, our character dashes and then runs. Tapping the run button makes you only dash, while holding dashes and then runs. It feels awkward at first, but you quickly get used to it. It is fun to dash out of the way of a projectile and have it blast your ally behind you. I like the change in skills compared to the previous game. In 2, when you reach a certain level, you have to pick between 2 different upgrades. While the idea is the same in 3, it's been expanded upon. There's a tree for passives, your grenade, and your ultimate ability. You pick one of 2 or 3 abilities, and then you can upgrade it to make them better. The upgrade points you get for just playing the game. I couldn't tell you specifically how to get a lot, but it felt like the better the match went, the more I got. You can also create your own loadout for each of your guns. You can equip the guns in the pre-lobby or buy them from the shop. In the pre-lobby, you have a set amount of money which increases as you level up. You can grab different primary, secondary, gadgets, and armor. It's a cool change, though I feel at max level you'll automatically get the kitted out gun you made, and then have way less to spend on during the actual match. Speaking of spending, let's go over the shop. It's fairly similar to the previous games. You have your guns for your class. The far left one is the base version, the next two will be versions with random attachments, and the last one will be your custom weapon. The custom weapon's price is based on how many attachments you have. The more you've got, the more it costs. Add some thought to making your loadout. You can change which equipment you have. I kept the multi-tool to interact with different machines around the map, like armor lockers and zip lines. There's medkits and ammo bags you can get as well. There's some fun here on boss waves when everyone fully buys those. There's a bomb you can put on windows, a shock trap, and a lure. There's armor you can buy and upgrade in this game. Frankly, I upgraded armor to its maximum level 4 at the end of the first wave every time. It's just so useful early on, and guns seem to stay useful the whole match, so just keep whatever you start with till you get enough money to buy your custom gun. Finally, you can buy more of your grenade and more healing stims. Healing is no longer a syringe thing that recharges. You have a set amount of healing stims that restore about 50 HP or so per stim. I mentioned bombs on Windows earlier, and I'm going to use that as a segue to talk about the maps. There's 3 in the beta: City Streets, Army Depot, and Horizon Factory. And frankly, they all kinda blend together. Maybe I'm just used to how outlandish the maps in 2 got, but the latter 2 maps in the beta kinda mesh together. The first one takes place outdoors, so it feels different than another dark base. Also, it was easier to get a full lobby. There's no closing doors around the map with wielding. That mechanic is entirely gone. The main way is for the bomb to stop Zeds, or for the player to take a zipline across the map to get a quick breather. Maybe they got rid of the welder since bigger Zeds just destroy door frames. Speaking of bigger Zeds, this game adds a new mechanic: takedowns. When a Skriker Flesh Pound is low at health and stunned, you can walk up and perform a finishing attack that kills them and gives you invincibility during the animation. Watch out, as friendlies can still hurt and kill the Zeds during takedowns, removing your invincibility. Now, obviously it wouldn't be fair for just the player to get takedowns, so bigger Zeds can do the same to a down player. Skrakes, Flesh Pounds, and the bosses will do this to an almost annoying degree. When a player is down, there seems to be almost no time between the player going down and then the Zed using a takedown on the player. The only way to stop them is either killing them or stunning them, which is easier on Skrakes and Flesh Pounds, but almost impossible on bosses. If the boss decides you're dead, you're basically dead. This would happen the most in their second phase: down a player and then insta-kill them. It gets even worse when multiple people went down and you have to prioritize getting up the downed player while the other one is getting eaten. I don't want this mechanic to go away, just that there needs to be a brief, time window to actually be able to revive a teammate. Again, there were times someone went down and they were just instantly fucked by the big Zed. When a player is down, they can use their secondary to kill Zeds while being revived. The person doing the reviving can also use their guns while reviving. Well, that's most of what I got. There's a story mechanic on Army Depot where you do objectives during the match, but it's only on this map currently. I had a lot of people pop into my livestream asking about the next mission, but the map isn't out yet. For performance, the game runs great and I hardly had any issues. Take note that I'm using a 4080 Super and an i9 14900. My friend who got his computer back in 2020 did run into issues with stuttering. This was only when there was too much happening on screen with the Zed hordes. My final thoughts are really positive, actually. I know I've been pointing out negatives, but they're pretty fixable. I just need to get used to the design, and I'm sure once more guns are added and time goes on, the attachment system / shop economy will get better. The game is still a ton of fun, and if you loved playing the previous 2, I'm confident you'll love playing this one as well. I played for over 7 hours straight and still wanted to keep going, stopping only because I had to log off and go to bed. I can't wait for the full game next month, and I will absolutely stream this a fuck ton.